Hello and welcome to another edition of Video Games to the Max. I'm your host, Sean Garmer, here with me, as usual, Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
Sorry we're coming to you on a Sunday. I had some work stuff and then I was really exhausted after work, so I was like, I can't do this on Saturday when we were going to do it originally. But yeah, so we do have things to talk about today. I've played Stellar Blade and two versions of the Saga Emerald Beyond demo, because they actually did a cool thing where they, depending on what system you download the demo on, you play a different character. And I've also played Unicorn Overlord. Marc's been playing more Granblue Fantasy Relink, and we've got some news to get into, Xbox and Sony stuff, and more right after this.
You are listening to Video Games to the Max.
All right, so let's just get the housekeeping stuff out of the way here really quick. Do appreciate y'all watching, listening, whether you watch live, which normally we do this on Fridays around the 12:30-ish time, but we're doing a little bit later today on this WrestleMania Sunday. And, well, we got, just so you know, y'all are aware, if you subscribe to the channel, you not only get what we do here, Video Games to the Max, but you get our other stuff as well. So you get the Relative Broadcasting folks. They do all of the entertainment movie stuff. They have a review of the Godzilla Cross Kong New Empire movie, which is supposedly really good. So if you want to hear a review on that, they have that. The latest guys doing the anime talk, usually cover most of the new anime that's out all the time. The Otaku Cafe, and we did do the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth spoiler cast. So got a bunch of folks on that. It actually worked out. I thought having 6 people was going to be an issue, but it was actually really fun. So yeah, go check that out. Definitely, if you've already played Rebirth, already finished it, well worth going into. We go into everything, a bunch of different story points, characters, the ending, all that stuff. So lots to go through there in that like almost 3-hour thing that we did. And yeah, so definitely make sure if you don't want to watch, you can listen on your podcast as well, anywhere there are podcasts. Just subscribe to all 3 of the shows separately if you want, or just subscribe to us, Video Games to the Max, and you'll be able to listen whenever we do a new show. So there you go. I guess, Marc, you and I both picked great weeks to get haircuts. So both of us sporting new dudes. It looks like you fixed your hair there.
I just don't look like Medusa, so
that helps. You know, but anything else going on for you this week?
Saw Ghostbusters last Friday, or maybe Saturday or something. That's about it. It was fine. I didn't literally laugh, and it was too busy of a movie. But yeah.
All right. Well, so it was like an okay time.
Yeah, I mean, I may get it when it comes out in like Blu-ray or whatever, but yeah, it's just kind of it just has like 9 different plot points going on at once, and it's like, this is really busy. Like,
yeah.
And the fact that the character called the Fire Master just kept reminding me of like Avatar.
That's funny. Okay, so all right, let's I guess go ahead and get started with the games we're playing here. You've been playing what, more Granblue?
Yeah, I finally beat the last boss, this Lucius guy. Man, that was a pain in the ass.
What? Oh, yeah, I watched that video. That's crazy.
Yeah. So the max level cap for your character is 100, and this dude is 200. So have fun with that. Wow. And you have to like build your character in like certain ways. Like I have to have like a ton of health, and then the game has a damage cap. Like you can only do so much damage. You can like build out your character to like exceed that, but then you have to like it's a push and pull of like, well, if I exceed that, I don't have as many potions, or I don't have as But I finally beat him at least once, so I'm happy. So now I'm just trying to set up like a good AFK farming method so I can get all the rest of the crap I want. But
Yeah,
I still like the game quite a bit. And yeah,
that's good. That's kind of like what I'm doing for Rebirth, trying to find the places to farm the AP and the levels to get them all to level 70, so I can do the hard mode.
Yeah,
so.
I mean there are a few places, but yeah, that's a slog for sure. At least with Granblue, it's like a true AFK method. Like you can just like pick this one character, and you can set the game to basically autoplay to a certain extent.
Oh, really?
So yeah, it's just like, all right, I'm gonna set this one range character, and he'll attack anything that gets near him. Have fun. Go do something else. Something else for the next 20 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I did get to play which I'm sure many of y'all have as well, that Celeblade demo that came out.
Yeah, I thought about it, then I was like, let's wait till the game comes out.
Yeah, I mean it's really short, so it's actually like not really a big deal to go through and play, honestly, because you'll finish it really quickly, and then the boss challenge is just one boss, so you can kind of get it used to the whole how that's going to work with the parrying and everything else. I actually was very surprised at. I thought it was going to be like Devil May Cry or like Bayonetta, very action heavy. It's really not. It's very parry focused. The dodge is only in certain. I mean, you can dodge all the time, but they have like more of a like perfect dodge kind of thing that you can do, which has to like flip in the air backwards. And it makes it really fun when you actually nail those. And it seems like it's not like a Souls game. It feels like it's like an in between the hardness of Souls and then the I guess simpler of DMC.
I mean, it sounds like Nier Automata, or
Yeah, kind of like Nier. Definitely has a lot of Nier vibes as well, especially with like the setting and the world.
The hot ladies.
Yeah, you got the hot ladies too, but I really don't. That's not. I don't want to get into the whole culture war that's going on. On Twitter. That's stupid. But yeah, it's a hot lady in a video game. Like, okay, cool. That's great that we have more of that. I saw the people hoping. They did tease that they could do crossovers with other IPs, so people are already warming up for the Nier and Southern Blade crossover for sure. Which that's the one that's getting the most comparison as far as because of the looks and everything. But no, the setting is cool. The whole opening of it, where they like have to land on Earth because there's these Nativa that are attacking these like ugly, weird alien looking monsters, and there's a bunch of different versions of them, which is kind of cool. Like I like that. They kind of look a little bit, I guess you could say, like the Demigorgon sort of Stranger Things as well, in a way. But I like that it's like different versions of that. So you have like this weird thing that stands on two legs, and then you have like a starfish looking one that like swims. And it was kind of interesting the way that they're similar. They're all kind of similar, but they have their own different things. And the big boss that you fight at the end has like a big thing with horns. It's a really fun. It feels like it's gonna be really fun. And then there's like a skill tree that you can get new powers with, because you have the different like side face buttons to do different attacks, and then you have the other stuff that you can just do regular with the face buttons when you don't hold L1. So I think for the most part, it's it may not end up being like this oh my god 10 out of 10 game or whatever, but it could still be actually pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
You know, so I think people should definitely go give it a shot because it's about I would say it's not even a freaking like an hour. It's
Yeah.
really short. So definitely go and you could actually probably play this twice. The music's really good in it too, so that kind of gives you but they do have like a big I guess not big, but they have a sort of lengthy walk around section that you can kind of explore the world a bit and stuff. So that gives you a good like ambiance of what the game is actually going to be. So
Right.
you know, I think for the most part, if you play it, you'll get a good perspective of okay, I kind of got everything in one go, and that's what you want a demo to do. And I appreciate that they included all that. They could have just made it like a combat thing and said, okay, that's it. We'll let you explore the world when you play the game. But and it's good that they also said they're not going to charge you for DLC with all the stuff that's been going on with that. They are going to charge you if they have to cross over for another IP like Nier or something like that. But yeah,
Right.
very cinematic kind of thing. Very with the combat, but it was a lot of fun. So
Cool.
I think I might make it a day one purchase for me. I'll have to be playing that at the same time as the Unicorn Chronicle game. So
Same two games.
Yeah. Well, that one Unicorn Chronicles on Game Pass, so I don't really have to make the decision of going and buying both. But yeah, I would definitely play the demo because $70 is not cheap.
Right.
If it gets you, then make that decision for yourself there on that. But it's not one of these things like I think like when I talk about Unicorn Overlord, where I feel like you do really kind of need to invest those 5 hours that it lets you play to kind of get the okay, do I want to buy this or not? So but let me I guess get into the Saga stuff first, which I'm gonna be upfront. The only game that I played in the Saga series, aside from Final Fantasy 2, which is I guess the closest Final Fantasy thing you're ever gonna get to a Saga game, is the Saga Frontier, the PlayStation one.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that's the only one that I've actually played. So I don't have any kind of reference with either the older ones, the Romancing Saga, or the Scarlet Grace.
I have less reference. I know Saga Frontier kind of, but that's about it.
Yeah. So this is kind of my first Saga game, so I apologize if I'm not, whatever I say is not it's totally big relevant on how the other Saga games are played, but they did try to modernize this one quite a bit, which I think if you're a fan of the Saga games, that's probably going to possibly upset you some because they do have like quest markers and things like that you can scan into this.
You mean like modern gameplay stuff?
Yeah, so it's not because a lot of the things with Saga is from back in the day, and Final Fantasy 2 does this as well, where it kind of like lets you out there and you kind of have to find the story for yourself, right? And this one does that, but it does it in a way where it's like, okay, you have options as to like what you want to go do. So like I mentioned at the intro, if you download this on different versions, you get different characters. So if you get the Switch version, you get Amaya the Witch character, which she's like a mage character. And then you get different party help characters that are in her story only, right? And then if you play the PS5 version, I'm guessing you have to get the PS4 version. There's probably a different demo as well, but you get the PS5 version, you get to play as a different character, and his whole deal is that he controls puppets. So they have like 4 different characters that look like they came out of Black Panther, all kind of around him, and then he has like he's like a fencer kind of character, so he has that kind of a weapon. And the cool thing is you also have like a lot of variety in the weapons you can pick too. So Like a Maya can do the regular maid stuff, but she can also, if she wants to attack with a gun or a sword or whatever, you can do that. And you can do that with the other character too. So it's cool. They give you a lot of variety in like the actual combat, which that's fun. Of course, the whole crux of Saga that's different from the regular JRPGs that you play is that you don't level up like levels, right? You level up the abilities. So whatever you do in the battle is what's going to level up. Aside from leveling up HP almost every time, you're like, let's say you defended well, you defended a lot, your endurance and your defense is going to go up. If you attacked a lot, then your attack spell is going to go up. And then also depending on how much you use the different spells and different abilities, those go up depending on use as well. So yeah, it definitely has a lot of the Saga trappings, but it feels like they tried to make these more like, I guess, sort of what's the game I can't think of? Not Octopath Traveler, but the one you played. You reviewed it and everything.
Live Alive?
Yeah, Live Alive, that has like this contained stories. Yeah. Right. So it feels like they're all kind of contained by themselves. And the PC version has where you can play as the diva character that is apparently a robot now all of a sudden because of what happened to her. So yeah, depending on if you see the characters and you want to go try to play as that character, you got to go seek out whatever version to play the demo in. But yeah, they're different, right? So like the male character, which Ohimaru, he kind of has more of a go explore this like kind of spacey the witch area, right? And he talks to the different. It's fun. It's kind of funny because they're both kind of connected to each other. He's exploring like the witch world. I forgot what it's called, and the actual witch character Amaya that you play as, she's one of the different witches that's in the. That's like they have a red witch or blue witch or black witch, whatever. So she's a white witch, and she's actually stuck in like the city that he comes from.
Yeah, so it's like Broken Age.
Yeah. And so he's in that world, and they tell her, oh yeah, this other character's over here, and you're playing as that character. You play the Switch version. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good one of those. I think folks that are coming off playing other JRPGs don't expect this is almost feels like it's a PS3 game with newer graphics, because it's not the most flashiest thing out there, right? There's the little quest markers that come up are like little portals, and then you're gonna wait for a load screen to show up so that you can go to the next thing in there. If you go to different sections of that world, that's what you're gonna do. It's not all seamless and beautiful and all that stuff. It's, if you like the Saga games, it's kind of, at this point that they don't spend the money there like they do for Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest or whatever. So, but the fact that we're getting a new Saga game that's not like a remake or remaster, I think that's cool for the folks that like that. It's definitely not going to be a game. It all comes out that same week. Saga also comes out like a day before Stellar Blade on the 25th. So if you're looking forward to it, it's definitely there for you. Not going to be one that'll be like a sale game or something that I might pick up later.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think Granblue's been on sale for like $55, $50 recently.
Yeah, it has. What's it called? Yakuza's on sale too.
Yeah.
So I mean, those came out in January, so that's kind of expected that right now they're going to have a sale. But even something like Vanishers that came out like barely a month ago has also been on sale too. So I definitely would recommend people pick that up if you like those kind of action games. The last game I played was Unicorn Overlord, which I know a lot of people have been enjoying. And you know what? I think this one kind of works for me. I'm not the biggest like Fire Emblem fan, but what I like about this game is that it's kind of a mix between the stuff you get in a Fire Emblem, right, with the character looks and the medieval sort of world and that kind of thing. And then you get it's more of like an RTS where the player, it kind of plays itself in a way, but you're having to just kind of put them in a spot. Okay. And then it goes to the screen where they do the battle. and then you're repeating again until the whole army's wiped out, or you get the objective or whatever. So and it helps a lot that Vanillaware's character design is great. So it's all the different characters that you get even at the beginning, right, during this demo section. Which what's cool about this demo, if you haven't played it, they do have it like on all the systems. So it's on Xbox, on PlayStation, on Switch. You get to basically just play 5 hours of the game itself, and it does transfer over. So if you just want to play the first 5 hours of the game or whatever, you can, and then just make that decision yourself if you want to buy it or not. I definitely think I'm going to wind up getting this at some point when we get to like that kind of lull in the year that it feels like we're going to have between, like, when we get to May and June, that time period. So I might definitely make that. I was trying to see if I could squeeze it in between, before we get to Union Chronicle and Hellblade, and I was like, you know what? Maybe not. I'm going to just wait, because then I'm going to buy it, and then it's going to go into that pile of, oh, well, I bought it, and now I didn't play it, and now am I going to get back to it? Whereas maybe it'll be on sale even by the time we get to like May and June, and definitely can. Even though I did see that like Target was doing some ridiculous sales yesterday. I guess they took the time during like the WrestleMania and college basketball to be like, let's go on Target Circle and put like all these freaking things on sale. And Unicorn Overlord was on sale for like $20.
Right.
And I totally missed it until the next morning when I saw the feed. But yeah, no, man, this is really good. I can see how it can get addicting for people that really love that kind of style, because it's really easy to just, all right, here comes the next wave. Let's start putting the armies different places. And I like how easy it is to switch between the different. If you like, you have all three of them converge at once, you can switch between which one you actually want to go into the battle and stuff. And yeah, it seems like the story is set up very simple, so I'm seeing that like apparently the story is not like, oh my god, Fire Emblem craziness or whatever. It's more about the mechanics and the changing of the different classes and different things that you can do in that game. So yeah, I'll definitely be looking forward to it as we get closer to those times where we don't have a bunch of games coming out.
Right.
Yeah. So definitely, I would go check those out, all three of them, if any of those interest you. They'll be there, and yeah, well, we'll definitely, I'm sure, have more games to talk about as time goes on. So let's get into the news here. Some stuff going on with Xbox. What do you? Feels like a lot of stuff's going on with Xbox all the time, but the big controversy came out because we got a lot of Hellblade 2 reviews, or not reviews, previews.
Yeah.
And the oh my god, it's 30 FPS. Let's get angry.
Yeah,
again.
but the rocks are better than rocks have ever looked before, man.
Yeah. To me, it's like that whole. It's a story game. Like, I get that there's combat, right? And they did make a big deal about the combat is in here, and it's apparently going to be kind of slow and weighty. It's not, I don't know that it's not God of War levels or whatever, but I don't know. It felt like maybe they were trying to. Is it going to be like Souls or something? I don't know, but
yeah, deliberate combat.
Yeah, very deliberate. I'm sure there's going to be the same puzzle stuff that you saw in the first game. All of that. It looks good though. It looks amazing. And if that's what helps it look like that, is being at 30 and not going to 60, and then because it's not a game where you're like, it's not Blade, it's not even Rebirth, it's not or even Granblue or something where you're like moving around and you really need to be fast. You need to have all this smoothness or whatever. It feels like it's built to be at that 30, right? I don't know that it's going to really make an effect on the game other than people that like, oh my god, I can't stand it. It's going to be 30,
I think people obsessed with frame rates are like really nuts. Like 30 can feel fine if it feels fine, like 60 frames doesn't automatically mean it's a better playing game.
Yeah, it doesn't, like, the people that automatically, like, I'll never understand, and I get it if you're used to 60, right? Then at that point you should have a PC,
Right.
because like, even you can say what you want about the, oh my god, the PS5 Pro is going to do this or that or whatever. It's
PC will still always be better. Yeah.
There's always going to be times where they're going to either lock it, or they're going to do what Dragon's Dogma did, which is like, oh, we're just going to have this unlocked frame rate, and that's even going to be more nuts, right?
Yeah.
I think it looks like they didn't release a new trailer with all these previews, so no point in showing it here. But honestly, from the previews that I did see, folks that have played it on YouTube, it looks really great. It looks like the audio stuff is going to be even more crazy immersive than it was before. And I don't think we're going to be going nuts about whether it's 30 or 60 or whatever when the actual game comes out, right? This is always a big deal that gets made. And they obsess over it, and it's like automatically, oh, I'm not playing this game now. And I was like, hey, on PC, you can unlock the frame rate and do whatever you want, but it might be better on console to just leave it the way it is. And
right.
I think we're still going to see the issue with the PS5 Pro. It's still not going to play every single game at 60 or whatever. You're still going to have the different modes. And I get people want the mode, right? You want the ability to do, even if it looks bad, like Rebirth, you want to be able to play 60 FPS. And I get that, right? There's people that just can't deal with it. And that's cool. If you, it sucks if you can't, but I adjusted after an hour or so because I was like switching between on Rebirth, and after a while I just said, you know what, quality mode looks way too good to keep switching back and forth, and I adjusted, and it still plays great even though it's at 30. So
right.
I think you're making too big a deal about that stuff. But they did reveal that one of the co-founders of Ninja Theory left the studio. At some point, they don't really say exactly when. They just kind of were able to talk to a Microsoft rep that just said, "Oh, Antoniades." I don't really know if I'm saying his name right. Antoniades, I guess, is no longer with them. He was the company's chief creative director and a co-founder of the studio. I don't know if this is like that big a deal. It feels like a lot of these guys are like taking the money that they're getting from being with Microsoft and just saying, you know what?
Well, it's also probably a contract deal.
Yeah,
he
that's
gets to stay there for a year or two or whatever to get vested, and then he's all right, peace.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna get a bunch of money for being here for this time. The game's where it's at, it's almost done or going to be finished by, because now it's like a team of 3 different people that are kind of heading this up. So which is like the environment art director, the visual effects director, and the audio director. They're kind of all combining to be the leads.
And then they summon Captain Planet.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we'll see when this game comes out, which, hey, we're almost like a month and a half out from then, on May 21st, and hopefully it's good. It's one of the ones I've been excited for this year. So I hope it lands and is able to deliver on that. Also, just recently announced on the weekend, it feels like we're really gearing up to the whole, there's a new console going to be coming sooner rather than later. Is Cirebon came out and announced, well, this is like an internal memo that got released and was put on like Windows Central and other places, that they have built a preservation team for the old games to be able to continue forward, and making sure that, those digital purchases that you bought and everything are going to keep going, which that's good.
What about the emulation ninjas doing the backward compatibility stuff?
I mean, the last time they ever talked about it, he said that they'd gotten to the point where he feels like they can't do anymore, as far as releasing new old games onto the list of games that are there. But I don't know if that's gonna include, maybe they're gonna try to see if there's some more that they can possibly find. But what she says is that we're building on our strong history of delivering backwards compatibility to our players. We remain committed to bringing forward the amazing library of Xbox games for future generations of players to enjoy. We want to make sure that all of our stuff continues. We're moving full. And then she also mentions again about the next gen hardware. So at least they're not dropping that. There's going to be another iteration of hardware. Do you think this means we'll finally maybe get to be able to play our games on the cloud? Or if you have Game Pass, you also have access to be able to play those games without having to remote into the console? What do you think this is, other than just ensuring? Is there anything to this other than just, okay, with the whatever Xbox is going to be called, your digital purchase still work there?
I think it's just only that, at least for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna. There's probably some games probably can't be played over the cloud, or there's probably some like weird licensing stuff going on with some certain stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure all the crap they own will be, but that's not everything on that service.
Yeah. Phil did say that Phil Spencer did say that he's looking at. He thinks by this year, possibly by that June showcase, they'll be able to announce that you can play the games you own via the cloud, or whether it's remote play or whatever. It also helps that if this whole rumor of a Xbox handheld that we talked about last time is actually happening, you're going to be able. That's the way you're going to be able to play those games. You're going to have your digital ecosystem, because you're probably not going to be able to put a disc in there or a cartridge or anything like that. So this is all digital. So yeah, they definitely have to make sure that works. If this is going to be people's mode of play, you got to make that work for the next iteration, because I imagine that handheld is going to work with whatever the next generation Xbox is. It does make me think that they are probably gonna. That rumor about they're just going to start the console generation early kind of makes me feel like, with this announcement of the preservation team and all this other things that they're kind of doing, they are going to try to aim for that 2026.
Yeah.
Even though I kind of feel so weird about saying that. Like, just again, we're sitting here talking about PlayStation releasing a PS5 Pro. We haven't even really felt like it's scratched the surface of, we're still getting cross-gen games right now. And we're just going to restart the generation again.
Now I'll be getting cross-gen games where some games come on PS4, PS5, and PS6.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we're still going to be getting games to play on the Xbox One when the Xbox Series, whatever it is, comes out. But talking about that June showcase, though, there are rumors going around. Jeff Grubb was on the Kind of Funny Xcast, and then he was on his own, Game Mess show, talking about we're finally going to see it. We're going to see the Gears 6 reveal at this thing in June.
Yep.
Do you care?
I didn't play Gears 5, but it'd be nice, I guess. I mean, it's weird. Like, they've had a very bad run of letting their own franchises fall by the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it'd be nice if Gears 6 came out. I don't think I think people like Gears 5 kind of, but it seemed like it really kind of wasn't that popular. And I don't know if it's because of like the story part, or because they made it more in an open world game. But like same with Halo Infinite, I guess.
I hope it continues the story. I guess it's supposed to be the end of the trilogy.
Yeah.
This trilogy.
Oh yeah, because also on a cliffhanger with the girl or whatever.
Right, with Kate.
Yeah. But I don't know. It'd be nice because Microsoft could use a win.
Yeah, definitely. I think having a big game like Gears be able to come out, and I don't know if it's gonna be 2024. It feels like That's going to be like a 2025 game.
At least. I don't know. I think I sent you the VGC editorial last week, but Xbox is like faltering, or like the guy made a good point about like Phil's taken the Xbox division from third place to third place in the console wars, and it's like, wow, that's harsh but accurate. Like,
yeah, but I mean, that's the whole thing, is that Phil hasn't really. Who knew the Switch was going to do what it did, right? Like, you can't compete with that when they have a lower powered console. It goes everywhere.
right.
And,
but here, I mean, even if the Switch is like just a console, like regular at home console, the Switch still has Mario and Animal Crossing and Pokemon, and that's been, I would say, the biggest problem with Xbox is Xbox has Forza, and that's cool, and Xbox has Forza. Like, Halo Infinite didn't hit quite right. Gears 6 is, Gears 5 didn't hit quite right. They have a few wins, like, Hi-Fi Rush or Sea of Thieves, but those aren't like the big system sellers that like, a God of War is, or a Spider-Man is. So
yeah.
Well,
I think part of it too is that, if you look at what we could say, that what you just said about Nintendo has all that, but it didn't work with the Wii U. Right? The Wii U sold terribly. So it just still just depends on the console as far as but they did release 1 million games. It felt like in 2017 alone, that whole year of having awesome games every month definitely helps sell your console, right?
Right.
I think Xbox does have that problem of, they bought all these studios. They had 2 different years in this generation already where they barely had anything.
Yeah.
And then when you finally do release something, it's not like it's a slew of hits. You had Starfield, which that was mostly good, but you had a lot of mixed, bad or negative. And then you had, Forza is Forza, right? Like you said, especially the non-arcade Forza, that's kind of like, that goes into a sector of people that will play those games, and
it's
that's
like a subsect,
right?
Of a subsect. So yeah,
right, because at least Horizon has the ability to kind of open it up to more people that are just casual, race car fans. But Forza, it's motorsport. The regular series is just very car enthusiast heavy, so that's not going to appeal to her. But I haven't touched that game at all because of that, because I know how those games play, and I don't want to go through that frustration. But it's, to me, it's just not as fun. Like, I get it. If you're a car guy and you like all that stuff, that's great. More power to you.
You're not going to care about gear ratio setups and shit like that.
Yeah, definitely not. And I don't care about the AI driving the car and all that other bullshit either. So, like, the thing is, a lot of their games that people are waiting on still haven't come out yet, right? Like Fable hasn't come out yet. This year is going to be Avowed. Okay, we'll see how that does. Is that going to move people to want to get Xbox or get Game Pass or whatever? You got Indiana Jones. That's gonna move some people? But again, we've talked about where that franchise is, I think, in the greater scheme of when we're talking about franchises. That movie doing really bad did not help anyone. Even though they're using the younger Harrison Ford, but still.
I didn't realize how bad that movie did until I saw a video about it. I was like, because people shit on Crystal Skull all the time, but that movie made $750 million.
Yeah,
that last one made $350 million. So
definitely, oof. It did not do well. But the thing also with Xbox is, Game Pass helps. It helps a lot. I feel like they still don't do enough promotion with Game Pass. I feel like a lot of Game Pass's promotion is to the same people that already know Game Pass exists, and you're not doing enough promotions to the people that need to know the Game Pass exists. The casual players, the people that like turn on their Xbox to play Call of Duty and they don't touch it again. Like the families those kind of things that like, oh, for your kids, oh, this is amazing. You can just pay this $15 price or $17 now it is or whatever, and you get access to all these games, right? When I've talked to adults that have kids that also play, they go, "Oh my god, that's great," or whatever. The only problem is those games that are on there, their kids are they're into Spider-Man or they're into something that's on PlayStation, so it doesn't really help them at that point. But the parent that sees the value says, "Oh wow, this is great," right? Obviously now PlayStation has their own version of that kind of cuts into Microsoft as well, where it's like, oh, I can just get PS Plus, and I don't have. It's the same thing, basically. I think there's a bad messaging there. I think there's sometimes you have to wonder about their whole thing with PC, about putting the games on PC. I think it's great for PC players. I think it does open that door more. And I get that they went in this direction because they have to, because at this point, I don't think if they close, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. If they closed everything again, you're just going to have people just not buying an Xbox, right? They've already opened the door with releasing games on other systems, so they can't go backwards anymore. But I do wonder sometimes if that whole putting everything on PC day one hurt them, because there's no reason to buy an Xbox. You can just buy a PC.
Yeah, most people still aren't technically, do that.
Yeah. I mean, I do think also that the dongle not coming out might have hurt them as well. Like not being able to figure out a price and getting that to work, where all I have to do is stick in this thing into my TV and use the internet for it to work, and I can play most of the games. Obviously, some of the games you're going to have lag and there's going to be a problem, and I'm sure that's an issue too. Like the cloud not being where I think they want it to be, and they still have this stupid thing with the FTC, which means they can't update the cloud anymore, because then that will trigger the FTC to have something against them. So they're still waiting for that crap to end as well. They did have a positive that Sarah Bond announced in that whole thing where she said about the preservation team, is that Diablo 4 now has tons of players on Xbox and has now become the dominant platform for Diablo 4 because of Game Pass. So
yeah, they make it basically free. Like, yeah.
Well, and it does help. I mean, it hasn't helped them at all that seasons 1 through 3 are not motivating people to play that game. So the only way they can really help is to get new people into there. So
I think one weird thing about that game, Diablo 4, and Diablo 3 has this to an extent as well, but they did fix part of it, is it had like a seasonal thing. Like, I think season 1 is like vampire powers. So the season ended, but they didn't roll that back into like the main game, or what they call the Eternal Season or Eternal Realm, or the bullshit they call. So it just feels like there's a really segmented thing for the game that like isn't part of like the main character, or the one that you started off with, and they don't like reincorporate that into it. So that's my thought.
Yeah, I mean, Diablo 4 definitely has problems. We can't really beat around the bush with that too much. And like, it's not like you're sitting there playing it all the time, right? You played it during that review period, and then
I play it occasionally, but it's not like I'm not going back to it every day or anything, or every play it like once every 2 weeks maybe. It's like, oh, I still have this installed. Let's boot it up.
Why do you think that is? Just because there's just like not stuff to do that's fun, or?
Yeah, I mean, except for like the same like random quests that I've done already 500 times. There's nothing else I can do in the game. And I don't want to start a new character. Like, the whole crux of starting a new seasonal character. It's like, no, why would I do that? I want to just play my character and just give me the new shit. Like,
what do you think the point of that is? Like, I've never heard somebody go, I want to start a new character all the time. Like, all I've ever heard about with those games and MMOs in general is I just want to keep making my new character more powerful.
I think for like MMOs and stuff, it's partially like, oh, I can start a new class. And there is that extended, I guess, in Diablo, like, oh, I want to play Barbarian now, I want to play a Druid or whatever. But I think they really want to make it so it's like, oh, like Diablo is, I can spend $1,000 in Diablo because I have all these characters. It's like, no one does that, or except for the people who do it are like insane.
Yeah. It's definitely people that like, okay, you like the mechanics of Diablo, but you're like super hooked on that game to the point where whatever you do with that character doesn't matter to you. You just want to keep playing and be in the seasons, which that feels like a very, very you got to be like Diablo's got to be your favorite game.
Yeah,
to
ever.
do that.
Or, yeah,
Yeah.
No. And for me, I actually just don't like the world of Diablo 4 that much. Like, I actually like the Diablo 3 look a lot more. Like the bright, kind of sunny look, or, like the colorful look.
Yeah.
Like, Diablo 4 is so muted and so just, boring. It's all right. Here I'm exploring these Dark Souls looking levels,
I've heard a lot of that too. It's like a lot of the same colors, not a lot of change there too. So yeah, Xbox got some things going on. Let's see if that June showcase can kind of light a fire under
like,
Xbox.
Here's a good practical example. Like, you played Rebirth, right?
Yes.
If they said, hey, we're announcing a new season of Final Fantasy VII where you play the game from Barrett's storyline, or, Barrett, he's the only character you play. Like, imagine, like, take out character switching at all, and you just play through Cloud the entire game. It's like, here's Barrett season, 100 more hours. Would you want to do that? And then
what are they adding to the story aside from the fact that I just get to play as Barrett?
Maybe like 5%, barely 5% new stuff, if that. And as soon it'd probably be terrible.
I think
and then after that they announced, here's Kate's storyline. Here's 100 more hours of
if there's not a lot that's being added where I could just watch those story clips on YouTube.
Right.
And it's like, I love the combat system, but I don't want to play as the one character the entire time.
Yeah.
The reason why 16 works is because Clive's story to me is really good, and they've expanded it on that with the DLCs and whatever. The combat is fun,
right?
But that whole story is built around Clive, right? The difference is this whole story is built around the different characters, and as much as I love Seven's characters, I don't know that, like, unless you're one of those, again, it's similar like Diablo. I want the challenge, right? I want the challenge of what that would be like to play as Barrett the entire time. And how do I deal with this boss that I had Cloud and Tifa to play with instead? Okay, if you're going to give me that option and you're really a big fan of that, okay, that's cool for you. But it diminishes the more you keep doing these things. It's not a mode that's going to get people to play again. It's going to get the hardcore of the hardcore people to play, and that's it.
Right. That's exactly Diablo's problem.
Yeah.
So
it's not even like what you do with hard mode, like where I'm still playing the same character. Like, that's the thing, is like, okay, I get it if you want to. I guess they have those, right? Diablo has its difficulty modes, or whatever, right?
But you're still starting you're still starting fresh, or it's like, look, here's starting from level 1, go up to level 100. It's like,
so if you switch difficulty modes, it makes you switch the character.
No. I meant with the season stuff. Sorry.
Okay.
But it's like, it took me long enough to get one character to level 100. I don't want to do this, 5 more times, or however long. How many more seasons you got for me? Like,
I'm guessing you get like better loot if you play on like nightmare difficulty or whatever, right?
Yeah, the more difficult it is, the better loot you get.
All right, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like hard mode. So if you want to do that, and that's something that's fun to you, then I think that gives more players an incentive to go and do that again, especially if it's the platinum trophy or the achievements or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, just telling me that you're gonna let's redo a character and then I gotta do the whole same thing over again. No, thank you. No, thank you. And I don't get that for anybody. Like, anybody that I've heard talk about this game, that is the biggest complaint, is why is this a thing? Just let me play the same character with the seasonal stuff, even if that means I get through the seasonal stuff in 10 hours or whatever it is, or 5 hours.
Well, they don't
I still got to do it.
because they want, games to not last 20 hours, they want to last 2,000 hours. So that's why they do
it. That's not giving people an incentive to keep playing. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, outside of that, Sony is also once again planning their own showcase. It looks like they might do it in May again, just like last year, to avoid the whole brouhaha with Summer Games Fest. Whereas Xbox is doing theirs in that same like opening weekend, just like Ubisoft is doing theirs again, kind of making it more like E3 used to be. Sony's just like, forget it. We're Sony. We got big games. We got things we got to show people. Let's get out ahead of that, which to me has always been smart. Even Nintendo did that last year as well, where they didn't do it tied to Summer Games Fest. They kind of did it on their own. And yeah, it looks like this is what's going to happen. So far, we're not really getting anybody leaking anything. It's a lot of the stuff we already know exists, like Marathon, Fair Games Concord, the Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill 2 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you're looking forward to, maybe, that they could show at the Sony?
Medieval 2 remastered.
Yeah. I want to see if they show more Wolverine, I guess.
No, I don't think they'll show more Wolverine, but they'll show like the Venom spin-off thing.
Yeah, the Venom DLC. Yeah, that's kind of like, at this point, you might as well just announce it. There might be some kind of tie-in again to Spider-Man 2. They're about to release or already released the New Game Plus with the different stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know if you saw when they announced that, when they released it a few months ago, or I think like a month and a half ago or whatever, the debug menu was like included with it.
Yeah.
Which is hysterical. And then I saw like I think the one of the gaming YouTube channels like did a video on it.
Yeah.
You can just play as Venom through this thing. It's like, all right, cool.
Well, of course, you had to be able to play him to be able to do different stuff. So that makes sense why, it's in the debug menu. But they're not going to give you the debug menu to play in the DLC like that.
Pulled it down after like a few hours.
Yeah, it didn't take very long for them to do that. But yeah, it's going to be fun when they do show it. Hopefully there is some cool things to show, some surprises. That's why you like those showcases, and they could definitely give you things to be excited about for sure.
Yeah.
Something I found interesting, but I guess it doesn't really, it kind of tells you where we're at with games, is Newzoo. This is their second year of doing this like industry report that they do. And what it showed was that basically 66 titles accounted for 80% of all playtime last year. And 60% of that was spent on games that are 6 years or older. 5 of them are Fortnite, GTA 5, League of Legends, Minecraft, and Roblox.
Yep.
Which accounted for 27% of that time. And only the rest of that, which is a very small percentage, includes games that are 2 years or younger. And then 23% of those games are the annual stuff like EA Sports FC, Madden, and et cetera, et cetera. Just 8% was spent on new non-annual games like Baldur's Gate 3, Diablo 4, and stuff.
Yeah.
That tells you, I think, a lot of where we're at with games, with the state of the economy, with inflation, with I think the generations, right? Also, like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they just want to play Fortnite wherever the heck you can play Fortnite, or the folks that love to play Call of Duty and that's the game that they play, they do that, right? The fans that play 2K and EA Sports FC and Madden, that's what they do. There's really not an incentive for you to go play these new games when you have your old faithfuls that you can just go back to when you want to spend an hour playing a game. So I don't think that changes much. I think that does show that there's a narrow scope that these live service games have to hit. And if you don't do something like Helldivers 2, or Pal World to a lesser extent, to I guess a greater extent when it was a big deal, lesser now because they keep dropping in player levels, but obviously they don't have a lot of new content either. It's a different kind of game than Helldivers.
Right.
I mean, does this kind of tell you like all these people that are doing this live service stuff, they're kind of, this is the wrong direction? You're not going to be able to get them to drop a lot of these games to play those.
What do you mean? What are you talking about, man? Look at Suicide Squad. Look how popular that is. It tells me, yeah, like, if it hits, live service is extremely lucrative, but the chances of it hitting are, why don't you just spend the money you spend on developing the game buying lottery tickets? You have a better shot at that. And yeah, Pal World and Helldivers 2 hit, but I think those games aren't like greedy about their live service trappings. Or they are to an extent, but they're not. It's not like hitting you over the face with it like Suicide Squad. I would say, like, if you want to kill off a good game or kill off a good live service game, add a 2 to it and call it like Minecraft 2. Look what they did with Overwatch.
Yeah, that's why you don't see that, right? We haven't even seen Destiny try to like come out and be like Destiny 3.
Right.
Because they don't want to get people to be like, oh my God, it's a new game. I got to start all over. I got to do,
I imagine when Destiny 3 eventually does come out, it'll have some character import thing or, some type of ability to transfer characters. But I would say it's technically a problem if, people are still playing GTA 5 online and that thing's over a decade old. It's like, get on with your life, or there is other shit out there. But
I mean, but we also don't know what that person's income is like, or if we're talking about like younger kids that don't have income to just throw around, or
well, they shouldn't be playing GTA 5 then at all.
Come on, man. we know that there are a younger subset of people playing GTA 5 that shouldn't be, but they are.
Right.
It's always been that way. It's interesting that Starfield was the only single player based game that made the list. And again, it just shows you how much this is why they're chasing that, because multiplayer games are still big money. But
well, yeah. I mean, you can make the argument Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, you can play that co-op, but you can play it single player too.
Yeah, a lot of people are playing single player. Yeah,
it's not just some big MMO or big. It's not like online required, unlike Helldivers 2 or something.
Yeah, it is always kind of just interesting to look at that kind of stuff and see where we're at and see why they're doing this, but also see why a lot of them fail. Like Foam Stars came out, and I don't hear anyone ever talking about that game at all. And also, Square-Enix kill it themselves. But
right. Oh, I know. I mean,
I still will never understand why would you do a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth showcase the day the freaking game comes out? Like, why?
Yeah, well, wait until they announce Final Fantasy VII Rebirth content for Foam Stars, and everyone will go ape shit for like a week and then forget about it. I got a feeling. I mean, I think the game is. I've heard the game is technically fine, but when Multiversus comes back again next month, it's like, no.
Maybe it'll catch on again, but I don't know. That's why they say lightning doesn't strike twice.
Yeah, it'll catch on for like a week though, and then everyone will go like, "All right, we're good."
They haven't announced like what new characters and stuff are going to be in it.
I don't think because I mean they didn't even get to their initial player roster, so
yeah, I mean it's good that they were able to do that, right? To like improve the game and do all the stuff that they wanted to do with it, which I think that's great when you can do that. But obviously Warner Bros. Is doing it because they believe, right, that they think this, when it comes out again, even better, it's going to make even more money.
But I mean, Warner Bros. Is also the worst example of like live service mentality when they go in like, we want
everything to be live service, so of course.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Best of luck to everybody doing the multiverses. Never want to see games, go down like that. It had a really cool run at first, so let's see if they can do it again with these characters. It's not like we're gonna get a new Smash anytime soon, so why not give it a shot?
I imagine
a
new Smash game would be at this point extremely insane.
I don't know how they're gonna be able to
you only got two options: either A, keep all the content and just have more, or B, completely reset it.
I think that's the problem. It's like it's not the same as Mario Kart where like Nintendo owns all that shit.
Right.
And they can just decide to do it again and add more shit on top of it with new mechanics, right?
Right.
Or just do another DLC pass and release all that crap separately and get people to pay again, whatever they want to do. But Smash Brothers, man, to get all those licenses again, to get every single one of those characters again, they're like, this is why this is called Smash Brothers Ultimate. Like, that is not simple, and it's poor Sakurai as well. Like at this point,
yeah.
How long is that guy going to keep working on this series? Every time he comes out with a video, he's always like, "Oh, I'm so tired,"
right.
And I feel like if you're going to do that and add even more to it, I feel like, my gosh, I feel like if we're getting a Smash Brothers, whatever the next Switch 2 version at all, could they possibly just do another DLC pack and just leave that alone? Because I don't see I just see more danger of you're going to lose so many characters that people are going to be like, this is a regression,
Right.
Yeah.
Sephiroth isn't in the game. People are going to riot.
Yeah. It's like, look at all the stuff you had to do to get Sora in the game. And then you're going to tell me that you got to try to get him again and it's not going to happen. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they just add get Sakurai to do this again and be like, okay, 6 more fighters. Let's do it for Switch 2. Whereas Mario Kart 9, they're working on it. We know that. So
6 more characters. Here's Miss Pac-Man.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a huge list of people that look characters that they all want to see in that for sure. But yeah, speaking of fighting games though, or fighting-ish games, depending on if you consider Smash a fighting game or not. Tekken 8 has added their own fighter pass, and people are upset about it because you pay $70 for a game, then you're getting a battle pass and that kind of thing. And then there's also different versions of the battle pass depending on how much you want to pay. You like Tekken 8?
I mean, I think Tekken 8's fine, but I don't like Tekken at all still. I mean, but it makes sense. Like, yeah, of course, because every fighting game has to have a season pass now, or battle pass thing or whatever.
Right, but I think a lot of people are upset that they didn't do the Street Fighter thing and announce it at the beginning. They waited until the game's been out for a while to just be like, "Hey, there's Fighter Pass, and you got to pay for it." Do you think that's scummy at all, or just, hey, this is kind of the way it is now?
Well, they did. I mean, the code I got at least, it had it was the Ultimate Edition,
right?
So it already had I think it had the season pass already baked into it. Mm-hmm. So I got Eddie Gordo, I think.
Right. I think that's different than this though. I think
that's the weird. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's an incentive thing. I guess it depends on how much you really care about a lot of this crap. Do you care about your avatar clothing or avatar hairstyle? It's no.
Right.
I think season passes can be fine, but you have to weigh it against how exploitative it is versus general interest.
Right.
And I don't think they should go away either. I mean,
no, I think season passes are fine. If you're telling me that, okay, it's going to be certain characters,
battle passes.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. But
my thing with battle passes is more of if you're gonna say that this helps you so that you can keep working on the game and you can keep providing content for it later down the line, okay. My issue with the battle pass is like, if the game now becomes all shifted towards the battle pass, then that's my issue. Is doing that whole like trying to capitalize on FOMO thing of, oh, if you don't do this in a certain amount of time, the battle pass is going to be gone and you lose this character and you lose all this stuff, and then, oh, well, here comes the next one. And that to me is where it gets a little bit
that's
skeptical.
enough, like, going away. But if this thing was just like, hey, here's this thing, we are going to incentivize you to keep playing the game, go at it. That's one thing. But also, a lot of these battle passes have like really ridiculous requirements, or a lot of stuff that is designed to waste your time or make it like extremely hard. That's what I don't like.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, and then Harada's also kind of been on social media with jokes about putting Waffle House into the game, and
well, everyone wants him to, and what he should do is just make the Waffle House stage part of the battle pass. Be like, here you go.
Yeah.
If you rank 100 in the battle pass, you unlock this stage.
And then also, you got, of course, Tifa has been a thing that's been like and he made the joke about, hey, we know she's a great looking character, but we haven't made any decisions about that. And then he's also taking pictures with Yoshi P, and everybody's talking about Clive, because we did have Noctis in the game.
Yeah, he's in
previous one.
Tekken 7. Yeah.
So, hey, Clive would be interesting.
Forget Tifa, put Kate Sith in the game.
How crazy would that be? With Kate Sith with the Moogle.
Yeah.
What do you think about his idea of, we did have Tekken Tag Tournament at one point. He says that, the younger generation likes these team-based games so they can blame other people and not themselves for losing. That it does seem like this is a direction fighting games need to pay attention to. Like, what do you think about this? I guess like the Marvel vs. Capcom kind of thing of it, of doing these 3-on-3 or other things.
Yeah, I've always liked that. I mean, Dragon Ball FighterZ does that, or sure. I think more crossovers should be good. Or
yeah, I think if you added as a mode that allows people to have different ways to play, I think that's great. Kind of like.
I think the problem with Tekken 8 specifically, though, would be like there has to be like a big load between characters. It's like, oh, I'm playing this. I played as Eddie for the first round, and then I switched to the French guy, I forget his name, in the second round, and then I switched to Kuma in the third. It's like they can't store all that crap in memory.
Yeah, like putting so you don't think they could do like a 3v3 like mode that's separate as like DLC?
Not unless it was like very, at least somewhat reduced visually. Or
probably.
I also don't think it'd be like instant character switching, like DOA had, or Marvel vs. Capcom has, or anything. It'd be like at the end of the round, it's like, do you want to switch your character?
Oh, okay. You think something like that? All right.
Yeah, that's what rival schools did.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, it's something. I get it that he's saying people like to have these kind of tags battles, but I mean, I definitely see that, at least for the fighting game community, these one-on-one games are certainly big deal. And I mean, Tekken has been selling well, so that's a positive thing for Bandai Namco on that front, as they're sitting there waiting for that Elden Ring DLC to hit in June to boost them up some more. Going to be interesting to see how much Sandlands also comes out during that same week as Stellar Blade and all that stuff. How well that's going to do.
I imagine they are going to plaster Toriyama's name all over that fucking thing.
Yeah.
It'll sell.
That demo's out there too, by the way, also, if anybody's interested.
Yeah.
I tried to play, and it's just one of those things, like, I have no frame of reference for Sandland, so I don't.
Well, it barely came out. It barely came out in America, so yeah. I mean, the anime just hit America like last month or whatever. So
Yeah, I might have to I don't know, watch the anime and see how it is, and then maybe I'll care about the game. But
Yeah.
it maybe go back to it at that point. But speaking of, you mentioned Toriyama, Dragon Quest is going through some things right now. Square-Enix had to reassign Yumiyaki, director of the board, who's been with Square-Enix since 1992. Lord. And then also because looks like Dragon Quest 12 is running into some issues. It's been long in development. It feels like they announced it forever ago, along with the Dragon Quest 3 remake that's supposed to be doing the more than just the HD GD kind of stuff. And both of those have kind of been silent ever since those announcements where they did that big stream and everything. And then the other games that were announced on that show have all come out at this point. The Dragon Quest Treasures, the mobile thing, the Monsters game, all that stuff's been out, but we don't have anything on Dragon Quest 12 or Dragon Quest 3 at this point. And a lot of people have been wondering what the heck's going on. Obviously, we don't know how far along the stuff. I don't know if the Toriyama passing had anything to do with any of that as well. Also, sadly, it was his birthday on April 5th. He would have been 69. Even sadder that it happened right around this time, just kind of out of nowhere. But yeah, it's weird. This is one of Square Enix's big franchises. We haven't heard a lot about it. We've been hearing a ton about Final Fantasy all this time, but Dragon Quest has been very slow, and they just kind of out of nowhere announced that they reassigned this guy. So
Dragon Quest is a very long running franchise, and I think it's popular in Japan.
Right.
But it's not a popular franchise worldwide.
11 made it a lot more popular.
Yeah. But
worldwide.
Still not, right. But still not even on the level as most Final Fantasies.
Yeah, I agree. Bloomberg also says that this is part of a wider reshuffle within Square Enix to make it less reliant on external resources and making it more about AAA. This is that new president that's kind of come in and made a lot of changes. They made Hamaguchi, the director of Rebirth, he got moved up in rank as well, along with Asano, who he's the producer of the Octopath Traveler games. So they've been doing a lot of promoting and moving around ever since they brought him in. And he's younger himself, so it feels like maybe he just wants to kind of be let's usher in a new era. Let's start getting some of these older creators kind of out the door and move them into, I guess, the executive kind of levels, and let's get some new thoughts, new things going on. But
I know that the composer of Dragon Quest died a few years ago, and
yeah,
as much as that, he did good work, good music work, but I don't think he was a good person, or he was a really weird.
He always had this bad attitude. It felt to adjusting with the times where it came with his music. Yeah.
That might be a good thing.
Yeah. It is kind of weird that if you were excited because this was supposed to be, we're going to make some changes to the turn-based system. It's going to be darker, it's just going to be Dragon Quest for adults kind of thing. And then it feels like there's a lot of change. A lot of people were not kind of sold on that halfway through development too. And they're kind of making changes there. So we'll see if anything comes out of it. And if there's any kind of new track for Dragon Quest based off of this. But yeah. It kind of sucks to see that one of the franchises people are excited about when it comes to Square Enix is kind of faltering a bit there. But going back to Final Fantasy for a little bit, I'm sitting here working my way trying to get everything ready for hard mode and possibly seeing if I want to go for that platinum. I'm not a trophy person, but once I know I start doing hard mode, I'm going to try some of the mini games. I'm going to try some of the things to do just to see if I can do it. especially because there's those like tricks like with a 3D brawler that you talked about, the pausing, so you can see where they're. And the piano game, apparently, the trick is turn the music off, play it on silent. Apparently,
I can see that. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I still need to go and try to get Odin as well, so I can do that Gilgamesh thing. But yeah, apparently right now because of the new patch, they're going to patch it again to remove this. But when you do that last side quest, the can't stop, won't stop one that unlocks when you do all the other side quests, there's a bug that won't let you do the highest score on the G bike.
Yeah. A buddy of mine had that unfortunately happen to him,
and so you can't get the platinum because of that. So, yeah, it's obviously upsetting folks, as you would if you're doing all this other stuff for the platinum, and then the freaking G bike minigame won't let you platinum it. I'd be upset too. So they are working on that as well. So that's good for the folks that want to keep playing Rebirth. Something I forgot to ask on the spoiler cast, that because we were running long and Randy had to go do his own show at that point. They mentioned, that they might do DLC for Queen's Blood, right?
Yeah.
Which that makes sense, right? With how big Queen's Blood is. Do you think that because the 16 DLC was not supposed to happen, right? When they announced that game, they said there was no DLC being worked on, right? There's no plans. And then all of a sudden, we don't only get one piece of DLC, we get two. Do you think that there could be that with Rebirth as well? Like, could they do Vincent or Sid DLC, or you think that they're actually serious about there's no DLC with this?
I think they're probably. I think I could see the Queen's Blood thing being spun off, or it being like a little. I wouldn't say mini, but like a smaller DLC thing. Maybe just adding more cards or more opponents to battle. I don't think I don't think Sid or Vincent would be good. Like a DLC for them would be worth it, unless the Sid DLC is just you playing basically Crazy Taxi with your airplane.
That'd be funny. I would go. I would definitely.
And Sid is just listening to Offspring all the time.
Yeah. I could. The one that would, to me, I get the idea, right? Of the reason why you could do Yuffie is because Red 13 and Kate Sith were still going to be new characters that you could experience for the first time in Rebirth, right? So even if you got to experience Yuffie's, which I still feel like even playing Intermission, I didn't get all of Yuffie's like moveset there. I got some of it, and you got the introduction of the synergy abilities and stuff like that. But you didn't really get to experience a lot of that until you got the main game, right? I do think because Vincent has story that from Dirge, right, that you could make a DLC that kind of ties a lot of Dirge into that, and also it's not Dirge, right? It's more of
they'll just remake Dirge eventually. So
no, yeah, definitely don't do that. I don't think, but if they did and they used it with Rebirth Remake's battle system, I think that would be kind of interesting, because you're definitely not going to be able to do all of that story in the last game. I feel like there's going to be stuff that kind of gets they're going to be so worried about making sure they tie up all the loose ends that there's going to be story stuff that gets left out that we don't get for.
Yeah, but they even added story stuff into this game, so I think they could.
Yeah,
like Cisne wasn't in Gungaga at all, but they added her in.
Mm-hmm. Well, she wasn't, but they also redid Gungaga, where it's its own thing now. So, right. I think it depends on if you're going to go to all the other places. I mean, I guess they could add stuff in there that very much like the original game, where you could literally miss it if you don't go to this place that's far off away that has like this big lore dump on Vincent or something. I don't know, but they could. Definitely, I'm sure we're going to go back to Rocket Town in the third one and get whatever Sid's story is going to be.
Go to Rocket Town. I mean,
Well, yeah, go to Rocket Down, but
Yeah.
I definitely don't think we're gonna. We already know we're not seeing the same Sid that's gonna be bad mouthing Sheila, right? The assistant.
I forget her name, but yeah.
So it's gonna be cool to see how they tie that in. And then the fact that they've already kind of mentioned that they didn't do any of the stuff of like, Palmer is still alive. He didn't get hit by the truck. So how are they going to do? They're going to do that differently too about the whole? Is it going to be in the past now about the rocket thing, or they gonna? How are they all going to tie that together to the future? That's going to be interesting too. But
they just need to add in Sid smoking DLC where this replaces model with having a cigarette.
Here's a different version of Sid that you can get if you do this or that.
Yeah.
We didn't want to make him the actual version because you got to sanitize him for this generation. But yeah, I guess they could do it. But if that means that we get the third game much faster because they don't have to siphon off a different team to do DLC, then I'm happy for that. Because I really, the faster we can, obviously by making the game the quality that you need to make it, the faster we can get the game out with less things in the way, the more the happier I am. If we can hit that 2027 Final Fantasy VII 30-year anniversary date, I'm good with that instead of having to wait an extra fourth year because we had to do DLC. So
they'll release it on the original Final Fantasy VII release date.
that's I forgot when they.
Wasn't like August or something? Or,
yeah. I forgot which game it is that it released on December 31st of that year. And I was like, that almost doesn't even count as releasing in
right.
97 or 96 or whatever. But all right. Moving on from that. Still got a lot to go on if we're going to get information on that or not. We did get information on Knights of the Old Republic, sort of. From Sabre Interactive, who, of course, now they're their own company away from Embracer.
Right.
And he says that KOTOR Remake is alive and well. We don't need to be worried about this. It's clear and obvious that we're working on this. It's been in the press numerous times. This was because IGN had an interview with Matthew Karch from Sabre, obviously now because they did this deal where they're separate. He didn't talk about any of the issues or things outright. He says that it's obvious also that there have been questions about the game's development and all that stuff. But
yeah,
it's okay. So it's fine. I mean, I guess it's as good as it's going to be for now.
I mean, I got. You have to wonder, like, did Embracer have the finances to even get that project going or not? Or,
well, they retained it. It's still part of Embracer as they, that's one of the two projects, the two co-op projects that they kept.
Yeah, but now I assume that's more like a licensing deal or more
publishing licensing thing.
Yeah, or more like we'll let you go. We still want a piece of this pie because it's actually popular.
Right. It's still funny that whole Sony kind of wanted nothing to do with it after all this.
Well, yeah,
happened.
Right.
So I don't know if that's still true or not, or if that was just people making up things to make it about console war. But it's good that this game is still going. Feels like it's very far off. So maybe 2026.
If we're lucky, yeah.
If it doesn't wind up being a PlayStation 6 game or something.
That KOTOR thing is is approaching the Fable or remake levels of when is this game coming out, or
yeah, exactly.
What is there any knowledge on it?
Yeah, it feels like we hear little reports, but there's nothing else. Would be interesting if they surprise with anything at that showcase that Sony does with it.
Right.
Just to be like, hey, we're still working on it. There's something. Here you go. Stop complaining about it and just let us do our thing.
Here's the trailer again. We got to put the sub because the music license expired. Oh, that's what they claimed.
Right, yeah. We redid it so that you can have the trailer up there again. The rest of the stuff is kind of whatever. Unfortunate, I guess. Ubisoft lays off 45 more employees from its global publishing and Asia Pacific divisions. They said that over the past few months, every team with Ubisoft's been exploring ways to streamline, and that they have to announce a further reorganizing. Seems like what everybody else is saying constantly.
Right, that old chestnut.
Again, sucks we're in this where we have to deal with these layoffs. So Ubisoft itself is not doing great, as we've talked about several times. Skull and Bones is probably not helping them.
Did you see in the Ubisoft, and this isn't necessarily bad against them for once, did you see this nonsense about the crew? People are outraged that they took it down. And
that must only be crew people, because I have not seen anyone on my timeline talking about that at all.
I saw it because this guy was like making a post like, publishers are taking away our games, and it's like, first of all, like, what are you talking? When was the last time?
I say that with Crew Motorfest, they kind of wanted that to become the definitive version of the crew, and that therefore, basically, you kind of almost should have expected this. Like,
even if they did, first of all, the crew has lasted almost a good decade, so it's had a good run, more so than a lot of other games. Second off, the crew wasn't that good in the first place. Third, when was the last time anyone wanted to play the crew? It's a lot of bombastic language, like, oh, if you buy this game used at a GameStop, if you find this game, you can't play it anymore. It's like, yo, dog, what about Babylon's Fall? What about Battleborn? What about a whole bunch of other shit that didn't last a decade that you can't play anymore either? And he's talking about making this big government push, or making a bunch of not surveys, but petitions to the French government about oh, it's anti-consumer and all other crap. It's like, who cares? It lasted a decade. No one plays it anymore. Get over it.
Yeah, to me, it's like, for one, there's also 2 other versions of this game now.
Yeah,
like the Crew 2 and Motorfest, even though I think they might be doing this with the Crew 2 as well at some point.
They probably will eventually, yeah.
But it's not like the Crew is gone. Maybe you did like that original version of the Crew, and I get that.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this is the thing that, look, it sucks. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's good. It's not. It's not good at all when you lose being able to play a game. Could they make an offline version of it? Sure. We saw the Knockout City developers talk about this. Oh, it'd be cool if everybody made an offline version so that you could play this forever. But guess what? Not every company wants to do that. And at the end of the day, they made the game.
Right.
And this is what sucks about these live service games. They can literally decide to take them down because the majority of it has to be played over the internet, and they don't want to have the server anymore. So we're going to get mad. The Wii U and 3DS is losing online play as well. This is the progression of the times, unfortunately. This is why I think it's good that Xbox is doing that. Allow that team that makes it to where your stuff is going to continue forward, because you are going to eventually lose access to going on to the 360 store. They already told you I forgot the date, but sometime this year, I think it was, they're supposed to do it. They're going to do it for the Xbox One store eventually too, at some point, when nobody else is really playing the Xbox One. they're probably going to do it. Probably not now because they're still doing cross-gen games with that system, but in 5 or 10 years or whatever, that's going to go down too. So like, that's the thing that sucks about once these games became where they're on the internet, or you have downloadable content, or you have downloadable only games. This is going to happen.
There's eventually going to be a time limit on it, or an expiration date. And there are some games that EverQuest 1 is still kicking around 25 years later or whatever.
Yeah,
but that's the exception, not the norm.
But that's probably making them money in some form,
right?
Where it benefits the cost of keeping up the servers or whatever. Again,
but
should maybe the governments get involved at some point and make it mandatory where you have to make an offline mode? Sure, I'd love that in the perfect world where governments cared about that stuff. But unless that happens, there's nothing there that can, unless somebody sues somebody and wins, there's nothing that says they have to. And at least there are other versions of the crew out there that you can play. I know that means you have to buy something, which that sucks also, but it's not gone completely.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, unless some other, just to mention it here, we talked about the Relic sale last week. Now Relic has laid off employees after that sale. They don't really mention it, but there is a statement from Robin Smale, the external development producer, that says we've lost a number of amazing people, and then put the number 41 there. So I don't know if that means that there's 41 people that lost their jobs, or she just put the number in there. But still sucks to see these people laid off after they were able to continue existing.
Right.
But yeah, this is the state of the game industry at this point. It sucks.
Yep.
One other thing that sucks also, and I'm also glad that my main TV is no longer a Roku, but I'm sure that if this actually happens, the other TV companies will also do something similar. They'll just have to pay Roku for the patent. But Roku has patented a way for them to send ads through things that you have connected to your HDMI port. So if you put your PS5 or Xbox on pause, they could possibly have some kind of timer that then puts an ad on your TV while you have the game paused.
Can't wait.
Boy, we've gotten to this point.
Yeah, they got yeah. That's the whole point of pausing or skipping is you don't want to watch ads, and it's like, no, we're gonna force you to watch this ad now, fucker.
As long as it doesn't actually take over my game and become like a Hulu ad or YouTube ad where I have to wait the 15 seconds, I don't care. As long as it's just I have to press start on my controller again and it goes away.
Here's the thing. I think patenting this might be okay if they never actually implement it.
Right.
But if they do, then I imagine everyone's going to throw their Roku in the trash and get a Apple TV or
The thing is, once Roku does it and makes money off of it, and they show that they made money off of it, if they do it again, there's a lot of things that get patented that never see the light of day.
Yeah.
You can bet your bottom dollar that all of these smart TV makers are going to do it.
Yep. That's why
whether you like it or not, they're going to tell you that they need the money to get ads wherever it is, because all this other shit that they have to pay for that we don't pay for or whatever, it's costing them money and blah, 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 whatever bullshit that they want to come up with.
It'd be really funny though if like the technology is like, oh, we can analyze the scene or analyze what's on the TV, and if it lasts more than 20 seconds, we know it's paused, so we're going to show this ad.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be funny if there's a movie that has like a minute-long scene where it's just like set on someone like very static shot for some reason, and then halfway through it, an ad just starts playing.
Right, or a cutscene of somebody doing a position in a video game.
Yeah.
and nothing happens for like that minute or whatever, and then you see an ad show up, and it's like, oh my god, this is so annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's not that. Hopefully, it has to be that like you've literally left your screen sitting there paused, and not that, oh, there's a movie we're watching, all of a sudden, bam, an ad. Thanks. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be much different than some of the ones that do, like I love what Peacock does, where it's like, okay, you show me all the ads at the beginning, and then I can watch the movie like no problem. But some of them, like Paramount or I forgot Hulu, they still do the ad in the middle.
Amazon Prime is doing that now, also, or Prime Video.
They announced that thing. I'm just like, whatever. To me, if I'm gonna have all these freaking look, I get it. I totally get it. Trust me. I watch enough YouTube now where it gets on my nerves, depending on what you're watching, because some of them have more ads than others. Where I've really considered sometimes if YouTube Premium is worth it, because I watch so much YouTube.
I know Yen's got that eventually, because he's just so sick of it.
Yeah, it definitely gets to you. Like Hulu, I'm so used to it, and I'm also watching a TV show most of the time, so it's like, okay, I'm watching a TV show. I'm used to there being ads, right? It does bother me more when I'm watching a movie. It kind of takes me out of it. But I get it. There's so many of these that, like, if you're going to make them $3 cheaper to the point where I could literally have another one of these for the price of that I don't have to pay for the ad-free versions, I'm okay with it. Just, I hate when they keep adding on things to the, like, oh, we're going to lower your quality like Netflix does. Or we're gonna,
Netflix lowers the quality, cancels shows people like, and then back shit that people don't care about.
Yeah, lowers the amount of TVs you can have on, or things that you can have on at once watching the same app. Then does which Disney is doing that now. It starts in June, which that's going to suck for me. I got to figure out what we're going to do, because I share I don't want to say this on recording because I'm somehow where I'm going to get. But
Disney will hunt you down.
It's going to suck that's going to happen. And Max has already said they're doing it. I'm assuming that Amazon will probably do it at some point as well. So Paramount's just trying to hope somebody buys them. So they don't care, I think. So, but I get it. And now Netflix has shown that it makes them money. So of course, all these people are going to do it, because people that don't want to, but I'll probably just cancel Disney. I don't know.
You'll watch Disney when they have like the new season of Mandalorian, or like a show you care about,
or like like I'm going to go and at some point watch the Echo thing.
Yeah.
Just to watch it. But yeah, like when they do the new Star Wars, that new Star Wars that they just showed, the Acolyte or whatever, I'll probably do it for that. But it's just like, it's going to become very possible for me to start I'm going to get it for 1 month, watch all the stuff that I want to watch, and then I'm going to cancel it. I'm not going to just keep having it constantly, because this stuff is getting ridiculous at this point. Yeah. So aside from that, also just really quick, because it is good. It shows that Apple's opening up their store a little bit more. Apple is going to let emulators on their store. They did say that it's up to the emulator has nothing to do with the game, Apple. So I don't know what you're going to do about. They have to make sure it's legal, but they're going to let emulators be on the store. Because of that whole thing that they had to deal with the European Union, where they have to open up their store to people.
Yeah,
they've been banned on iOS for a long time. Most of it, I think, is like legal issues or whatever. But again, they have nothing. The emulators don't have anything to do with the games, so that's just them doing the legal mumbo jumbo that they have to do. That they're not responsible for people that download games illegally.
Yep.
But I guess this is cool. It's probably going to bite more into the whole mobile game, Apple's mobile game store, because if people can just play their old games on the phone, they're not going to do Apple Arcade, probably.
I don't know. I think most kind of people won't care.
Yeah.
They're not going to go through the hassle of tracking down like the Super Mario World ROM and then loading up in some SNES emulator.
Yeah.
Or they don't want to play it on the fucking phone either.
That too, but with kids like loving doing stuff on the like literally, I walk into my daughter's room and she is awake, but she's just sitting there on her phone watching the thing that she could watch on the TV that's like right across from her.
Right.
And I'm just like, I guess that's just y'all's because
And
she wants to be able to watch that thing, and then if somebody says something on her Discord, she wants to be able to press a button and go to talk to the friend on Discord immediately.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, you could literally do the same thing. You just pause the TV and talk on Discord, but I guess that's just different generations, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to watch this TV show on a small ass screen and be squinting in my bed watching it. I'd rather just turn on the big TV and watch it there in comfort. But
whatever, old man.
yeah, we're old. We're old. What do you do? Don't want to be your old man yelling at cloud kind of thing. But yeah, I think that's it for the episode here. We will be back to the regular Friday stuff this upcoming week. It just, yeah, hopefully don't have any more work issues or whatever. Enjoy the WrestleMania today. The Saturday one was actually pretty good. Let's see what they do on this show. Looks like it's going to be a fun time to be a wrestling fan again.
Hey man, this week is that Fallout TV show's dropping.
That yes, that too. They had a behind the scenes trailer. That's going to be good. Look out for that. Interesting that they're doing like all the episodes at once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So look out for
that
on the 11th.
Yeah, Prime Video tends to do that more often than most shows or most things nowadays.
Yeah. For sure. As far as games that are coming out this week, if you're not into the Fallout show, you got the Spirit City Lo-Fi Sessions, which is a cool little indie game that's about chilling, basically. You can play it on PC. Botany Manor, that's coming on Game Pass. Pretty much, one of those simulation games about botany. That gigantic game is coming back. If you wanted to play that MOBA, it is going to be available on everything except for Switch. The Rampage edition. Cool indie game called Children of the Sun is coming to PC as well. The RPG Broken Roads is coming on the 10th. So I'm surprised the game that you're not like kind of interested in, House Flipper 2, is coming to consoles.
I didn't play House Flipper 2. Oh, I didn't get it on Steam or so.
Oh, okay. I thought you
kind of send a review code and I'll play it, but it's yours, to Adam or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. They're also releasing on that same day that Fallout Special Anthology Edition on PC, which is like all the Fallout.
Yeah, I think they've done that before, but they bundled in Fallout 76, or like now, if I just give you some currency or something like that. So
yeah, still cool that it's coming with all the stuff. Yeah, it's not a lot of big stuff that's coming. It's just smaller games, but still,
right.
Yeah, still Moongo Blaze coming out. I love that game on Xbox. If you get a chance to play it on PS or Nintendo and you like fishing, this game's really good. It has a lot. If you liked Dredge, it has some vibes of Dredge as well, with the not fishing at night kind of thing and all that. So definitely one to check out if you like Dredge and you haven't played the Xbox or PC yet for Moongo Blade, you can play it on that. So all right, well, that's going to be it for the episode this week. Hopefully all of y'all that watched live or are going to listen later, watch later, do appreciate y'all for that. Hit like, subscribe, all those things to the channel. And if you listen on pods, go review on whatever podcatcher you use. That helps us a lot so we can continue to go up in the listens there. And we'll be back next week talking about more video games. Until then, everybody, see you later.